off the buttons. Hey, look at that. Let me do the intro again. Hey-o. See, that's why. This is the good, we're working the bugs out, and everyone's here to help take care of that. It's the first episode, Dirty Pool Pinball Poolcast? That's what I should have named it. What's going on, everybody? As I'm doing my intro again, yeah, we're doing our first podcast. It's something new. It's something different. There's no pinball planned today. We're going to chat, and the whole point is that you guys can chat with us. And I am extremely stoked to have right here to my left. Let's see if I can point the right direction. Yeah, we'll go with that. It's not correct, but we're going to go with it. It's Colin from Kineticist. What's going on, man?
Hello. Yeah, nice to be here. Very excited to be on the first edition of this podcast. I've been a big fan.
You say that now.
Yeah, I say that now. Like an hour from now, who knows? But for now, it's great.
Nice. So if you don't know, Kineticist is obviously one of the bigger online pinball publications. And I say online pinball publications specifically because what you do is very different than what, say, like an influencer does who has a channel or someone who is like tweeting, you know. I think there's something about the written word that is a different type of attention grabbing and just a different type of way of absorbing news than trying to fast forward through YouTube videos and see clips of Kong. Right.
Yeah,
so, I mean,
what do you more composed, I guess, intentional. I mean, there's a reason why I mostly do written work as opposed to video or audio work, because it lets me sort of refine my thinking and make more of a focused statement, I guess. Not to say that video work doesn't do that, but that's just kind of how my brain works.
Sure. And I think that you nailed it where like you get to kind of filter. I'm turning the audio down a little bit since somebody was saying there's a tiny echo. There's something about, like you said, you get to filter and take the time to think about what you're writing to give the most concentrated piece of information to somebody as opposed to a YouTube video, which may have a lot of fluff in between it. And sure. I mean, I think that's pretty neat. How do you go about deciding what an article is that you're going to write?
It's very kind of spur of the moment. Like I would like to say I have a really focused editorial calendar, but I don't, because it's pretty reactive to kind of what is going on in the community, what sort of grabs me for inspiration, or sort of what I've got coming in from contributors on our team. Like we have some sort of regular things we do, like tutorials. We just started a new series called the Scorecard that's sort of recapping competitive pinball stuff. But other than that, it's sort of what kind of grabs my attention, what kind of gaps I see in the kind of pinball content marketplace, the marketplace of ideas, if you were, and then go kind of make it happen.
And I've seen you have like Kineticist also operates kind of like an archive too, because you have information on games, you have information on people that are involved in the industry. So it's not just like news articles talking about whatever the latest footage of some game being released.
Sure. Yeah. So it's meant to be more of a resource. So like when I first started it, one of the issues that I had, at least in the community, is I thought that there was like this huge volume of content and information that was out there, but it was sort of hard to navigate and not very accessible. So I sort of wanted to try to bring all of that into one place. And I found some other hobby projects that I thought I could sort of build on top of and expand upon. So like there's the OPDB, Open Pinball Database Project.
Not to be confused with IPDB and IPGB.
Yeah, a little different.
All the other.
What was nice about it is that it provided structured data in the form of an API that I could sort of take the bones of and then sort of build around that for the games database, building out the content around pinball industry people, and also tying that in with some of the location data from Pinball Map, since the team makes their API.
That's Ryan, right? I think Ryan's in the little Kineticist circle as well. Ryan also plays in our league. I talked to him about being on the show. He's a little shy, it seems, but I would be stoked if he did come on, because I think Pinball Map is an excellent resource. If you don't know what that is, that's where you find. That's how you find games.
They're just good people. So yeah, you should keep working on them. Because
Forever Tilted says he could be mistaken, but he thinks that Kineticist is the website that helped him learn a bit about Elwin, which you know.
Nice.
You may not know who Keith Elwin is. He's a pretty unknown person in the pinball industry.
Right. Who would know who that is?
So you're writing an article how do you, all right, so say like a game is released, right? And you know that there's a bunch of other places that are going to be covering the same topic, right? How do you approach it to give it like your voice so that you kind of resonate with the people that are interested in the way that Kineticist tells news?
Yeah, so mostly I try to work in some of my own perspective or some of our own unique information. So like for a game release, for example, one of the things that I like to kind of weave in besides just the like nuts and bolts of what the game is, like pricing, where you can find it, the rules and such, is sort of the context around the release. So like what's the sort of broader community story? What are some of the sort of key storylines that are going on around the release? Like, has it been rumored for a while? Was it leaked? Was there any particular form of like drama surrounding the release? The other thing,
is there such a thing as pinball drama?
No, never. It never happens. It's a very drama-free hobby.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Sure.
That totally checks out.
Yeah, or like we do this thing called the hype index, right? Where we track sort of the most buzzed themes in the community, the sort of IP that people want to be turned into a pinball machine. So I'll pull in, for example, like where on the hype rankings was this particular theme before it was released? Was it like number 5 or number 100? Did it come from left field, or was it something that was known about for a while?
Interesting.
So
on that note,
I try to pull some stuff in like that.
Oh, that makes sense. Rollercoaster's asked, he's like, what's the stress of getting a new game review out fast enough that it's still on the hype train, but taking the time to make sure that it's good? It's a great question.
Insanely stressful. Yeah. It's getting easier over time as I've been able to sort of like build relationships in the industry and sort of get, sometimes we can get some of that information ahead of time through embargoed releases and things like that. The sort of trust level is there. Otherwise, it's sort of a rush. It's probably the kind of reactive part of the job that I don't like as much, because you're sort of withholden to someone else's schedule, right?
Sure. I imagine the flow for that is a lot. I mean, now that you've been doing it for quite a while, the process of getting the news out from into your ear holes to out your fingers has got to be
now I have templates and structures and workflows and all this infrastructure around what we do that wasn't there from day one. So I'm not necessarily always doing those from scratch every time. Nice.
So you talked about releases. I know that something I think a lot of the people that are watching are probably curious about is that you got to go to Stern and deal with an entire tour of the facility. And a lot of people have posted video of like the floor and all this. I'm curious, what is the process like? Like, what is it like getting housing, getting out there? Like, what is the scheduling? Does Stern set up like a time for you to be there where they do kind of like a press meet and greet? Like, what is it like to dive into the journey of going to a pinball manufacturing headquarters?
Yeah, I mean, it's like for anyone who's done business travel. I mean, it's business travel, right? You fly in. I usually fly in like the day before the event, and normally it's a full day of activities, and Stern will provide a pretty detailed schedule of where we're supposed to be and when, sort of the timing of everything. But the rest of it's sort of up to you to get to their factory, book a hotel, get flights, get to the factory when you need to be there. And then, yeah, it's a whole day. Typically we get there in the morning, we'll do a tour, kind of learn some things about the game, get some hands-on time with the game, to have conversations with the creators, answer questions, capture our own footage. It's like a somewhat loosely structured free-for-all sounds bad, but it's not super tight with the scheduling, I would say.
It seems like Stern's getting better at it, and I'm only isolating Stern out right now because I know that's one that you had recently been at. But compared to their D&D launch, it seems that there's a lot of embracing kind of like the younger generation ideas of like including the influencers to be able to get the hype of the game out there instead of just being a release engine where they're like, here's our video about the game. And I'm curious if that's been improved between the last time and this game, referring to Kong.
Yeah. So there were major improvements between D&D, the D&D release that they did, and Kong, in terms of how they structured the media day for creators. So there was much more of an emphasis on sort of providing us with more tools for better content capture. So one great example for that is they actually split out a copy of the game into its own dedicated conference room with its own lighting setup, and gave us all 15 minutes each solo with the game to kind of do whatever we wanted, play it or take video, whatever we wanted to do.
And you think that they would want the best opportunity for the best looking footage to be available to you, since they're using you guys, and I don't mean that in an insulting way, but it's free advertisement, and they want
it's mutual, right?
Right.
We're both getting things out of it.
For sure. You get to see Kong, you get to play it before everybody else, it drives viewership to the website, and at the same token, it's like free advertisement. I know, I can't stand that name, influencer. Speaking of, Archimedes asked a question, he said, what from your research is the current highest desired IP, or what are the top, let's say the top two?
Yeah, so we had that on our homepage pretty quick. So Back to the Future is the big one, that has been for a while. Pokemon, Harry Potter, He-Man, Goonies, Beetlejuice, Tron,
which has been rumored to be under production by Dutch, I think, and that they may or may not have any video assets.
Yeah, right. But it's the themes everyone sort of hears about. The sort of I guess.
Thanks so much to you, Hammer, for the sub. I really appreciate it. Thanks so much. K-Vol says he wants to be a pinfluencer. I'm not sure I really like that term. I think that influencers in general. It's a weapon, right?
It's a little cringe, right? It's like it's maybe a little reductive, but
for sure. So we'll take a sidestep. I have some other questions, but you're on record saying that your top 4 favorite pinball machines are Joker Poker, Deadpool, World Cup Soccer, and Labyrinth. Do you care to update that list?
No, not right now. I mean, it changes all the time. It's like trying to ask a music fan what their like favorite album or artist is, or
sure. What an impossible question, right? It's so frustrating when people are like, "What's your favorite?"
Those are all games that I guess. I mean, a couple of them like legitimately mean something to me. Like Joker Poker, the one we have at home. It's the EM version, and it's actually a machine, the same machine my wife grew up with in her house, and we took over ownership of it from her dad. 2015, 2016, something like that. And that is what sort of like kicked off my kind of love affair with the hobby, and sort of set me down a rabbit hole of discovery for pinball. And then
so this is a sentimental game. I think a lot of people have a favorite game based on sentimental aspect. I think if you consider the playfield, right, in its entirety, right, like there's maybe something about the IP you love, there's maybe something about the design of the playfield, like how it flows, how it plays, or there might be a memory attached to it. Because like I have that with Lord of the Rings, both in similar sentimental ways, but also in currently in ways that I wanted to burn on my garage and cut it up into a pile of wood. I'm tired of trying to get to Valinor. This is a different conversation. However, K-Vol has asked, what's your number 5? You got to expand the list. It's the Illuminati require a fifth.
My number 5. Oh my God.
That's correct.
I don't even know. That's an impossible question.
No, it's not only possible.
Fine,
it's happening.
It's possible. Let's do a hot take. Dune.
Okay. Wow. So I gotta say, I'm on Team Dune. I've heard this is a good segue. We had a short little talk about that right before. What's up, Mikey? You mentioned Dune. I'm Team Dune currently, even though I am picking up both a Dune and a Kong. But people have been saying very heavily that the code for Dune is very underbaked. And something that I've been critical on the channel, and I think is a worthwhile discussion, is that the gaming market now is releasing games with unfinished code. And I see that as both a frustrating thing, but also as an opportunity because they're using their customer base to kind of like play test it, to find out what could improve it in a way. So not only are people that are going into this early acting as kind of like a filter to make the game better, but they're also being given a product that's not complete. And I think that is a problem in the industry right now. What's your hot take on that?
Yeah, it honestly doesn't bother me as much as a lot of other people, but I'm not buying new in-box games day one. So
you'd have to be a stupid idiot to do that for sure.
Yeah, right. Who would do that? But I sort of like the journey that you go on with the game over 6 to 12 months, sort of seeing it evolve and develop, as long as that definitely happens. I think that's sort of the rub sometimes, is that it doesn't necessarily always happen. It's not a guarantee that you're going to go from 0.8 on release to 1 and beyond 6 to 12 months later. But depending on the company, and for the most part, that happens. But like I sort of think through the business realities too, of like trying to make sure that something as complex as a pinball machine is fully code complete from day one, solely relying on internal testing, right? I think that.
And there's only so much internal testing you can do, but the internet kind of ruined gaming in a lot of ways. Because if you think about, let's look at Nintendo games. Let's look at the state of gaming before Steam existed. Games, you had to make it as kind of Loctite as you could, because you couldn't go out and replace a ROM and a cartridge overseas and suddenly fix problems in your game. Now you've got the opportunity where you can have any portion of your game update at any moment. And I think that doesn't motivate the company to provide a polished product in terms of code. And then on top of that, there's more competition in the marketplace, which is great. I mean, shout out to like Pedretti, Dutch, CGC. There's so many companies that are now in the pinball marketplace that now they're trying to make sure that they get the games out to beat the other company. So it's like you got two layers of frustration there. So, but there's nothing that's going to change that. People want the latest and greatest.
There's not a lot of incentive to. Like, people are still buying the games. There are a few. It's really a vocal minority, it feels like, of people who are truly upset by the state of release code. But maybe that's not true. Maybe there's more behind the scenes that I just don't see.
Yeah, I mean, it's the people that have the outlet of the voice that are complaining about it the most. I don't think most people that run into an arcade and put a few quarters into D&D are going to notice that the magnet shuts off after 30 or 40 minutes. It's a small sample, and as a business, I don't think Stern is interested. Just using Stern as an example, since I mentioned D&D, but.
And even for my own business, like I'm mostly like a solopreneur. Like I build everything on my own, write everything on my own. I would much rather sort of get the work out in an 80% state and like get feedback on it and adjust, than try to get it to 100% on release. Sure. Because I just don't know how people are going to react to things sometimes.
I forgot I left my shout outs on. By the way, Borg Dog's here, everybody. As a quick side note, thank you everybody for jumping on. We've got a whole honking amount of people here. If you aren't familiar with who I'm talking to, let's do another introduction. We're talking to Colin. It's from Kineticist. Look there he is. I'm pointing the wrong direction again. Hi, Colin. We're talking about, we got a little sidetracked. We started talking about how code in games is kind of not there, but let's reel it back to what it's like running a publication about pinball news. So reel me back. You said like maybe 3 years ago or whatever, you're having your coffee in the morning on a Sunday and you're like, fuck it, I'm going to make a pinball news site. What is the origin story of Kineticist?
We officially launched in like 2022 with Kineticist. I was working on it under a different name, maybe 6 to 8 months before that. Pretty casually. It was actually
what was the name? Was it a good name? I feel like Kineticist is pretty good.
Yeah, it was called Game Room Dude.
Okay.
It was just like
it's a very early YouTube name.
Yeah, it was so dumb. It was like I can't get fully behind this name, so I had to change it.
No shade though. There are a few great channels like Classic Game Room, or there's
Yeah.
Todd's channel too. Playmoregames.com. Like there's a bunch of like
There's a few.
sites that have similar type names that where the content makes up for maybe the name.
Sure, for sure. And it was something that I've done before. So like my career before doing this was more in the marketing side for agencies and startups.
And you went to
But
school for a bit of this, right?
yeah, so I went to school, Ithaca College. I actually started as a BFA film and photography major before transitioning into integrated marketing communications because I wanted to actually make money after school. So there's a lot of this kind of stuff that I kind of come by honestly that I have a passion for and kind of always have. But one of the sort of side projects that I loved doing early in my career is I had a couple of similar kind of media sites. The first one I did was called 5o'clockdallas.com. And it was like a happy hour community website, sort of pre Yelp, or sort of as Yelp was growing. It was kind of alongside that, where it was really an excuse for my wife and I, having just moved to the Dallas area out of college, to find all of the like cheap bar happy hour spots that we could go hang out with and sort of catalog that for everyone else.
I mean, I would
Which
like to
was
know where those are.
fun. Yeah, yeah. And then after that, we got super into the local music scene. So we built kind of a small indie music blog covering the scene in Dallas and beyond, and did that for a few years. So it was really going back to that kind of playbook of combining a passion with content creation, essentially, in kind of a news. At the time, it was called more like a citizen journalism format.
Sure.
And that's, I guess, it's still sort of what it is.
But at some point, you got bit by the pinball bug.
Yeah, yeah, I got bit by the pinball bug, and I was kind of burned out on my day job and that whole thing. So I was like, well, let me at least just like try this playbook again for something that I'm actually passionate about, and just sort of see where it goes. And it's been no look back ever since.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, Kineticist has grown quite a lot. Is it your full-time outlet?
It is.
Or do you have a side side job, and or are you just it's just Kineticist?
No, it's just Kineticist. I'll do some consulting work every now and again, but for me to do this the right way, I have to be full time on it.
That's so awesome to hear. I swear to God, I thought you were going to say, no, this is my side job. I have this other thing that I'm doing. Well, I know it's just like it shows that
work, too much focus, yeah.
It is a lot of work. Oh my Lord, I'm finding that out. But it's, hey, here it is. If you have a passion and an interest in something and you dedicate enough time to it, like you can make it your primary. That's just how it is. Yeah. And you're obviously proof of that. We have an absolute shitload of questions to get through. Let me filter some of these real quick. Some of them are good. Forever Tilted says, so maybe a dumb question. What? No dumb questions, just dumb answers, right? No. He's asking if Kineticist has ever wrote about or asked if pinball manufacturers will make a more solid attempt for an in-home. I assume he means like Stern's attempt at a home pin with Jurassic Park, or the upcoming Alice in Wonderland from, what is it? Wonderland Amazements, I think is the name of the company.
Yeah, I guess like what is deficient of the current offerings in chatter?
I'm assuming it's price accessibility. I mean, like, let's be honest, especially in the current landscape of things, like people don't have $5,000-$6,000 to just throw at an entertainment wooden box filled with metal bits and bobs, you know?
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, that's kind of the thesis behind Wonderland, right? Is they wanted a more affordable home machine that still felt like real pinball.
Right.
Whether or not they can deliver on that kind of remains to be seen.
I think the bar has been set already for what a pinball machine feels like. So anything less than that is going to feel cheap, and that they're fighting an uphill battle. I don't wish poorly on it, but I think the reality is like, if you're used to driving a car all the time and then you buy a $4,000 car and it's like a soapbox car that you would race downhill in the like French soapbox open or whatever, you're not going to feel like you got a good deal.
Yeah, there. If you look outside the core pinball enthusiast community, like there are so many people who have not had that experience, right? And where that sort of home model machine will be their entry point into pinball, just like the arcade one-ups have been for a lot of arcade gamers. There's even a bunch of people who got into full-size pinball coming out of the arcade one-up space. So I think there's a place for a product like that. I think if you're an enthusiast, though, you just sort of have to keep your expectations in check a little bit. Yeah,
for sure. Archimedes says he agrees with congratulations that we got 100 messages today. Thanks, Archimedes. I know that's not where you're actually pointing your little arrow for. He's really talking about more for classic machines, which is crazy that the pinball market is just so expensive for, like when I was first getting into collecting, like my first game that I bought was a Road Kings and I got it for like $400. It had a little bit of board damage because I didn't know to look for acid leaks and all that. But you just can't do that anymore. The biggest like barrier to entry back when pinball machines were more affordable as like a collector's item was the weight and size and transportation of it. And now it is, I feel, more of a financial issue.
Yeah. It's a financial issue. It's a skills issue, accessibility. Like if you're not in the like an urban area, for example, it can be harder to find.
Yeah, I think it was Mad Mountaineer was talking about the other day that, he lives in a pinball desert. He has to drive an hour to go play a game. And you could look at arcades as the ability to test a game, right? It's like going to a showroom almost. Like you have the opportunity to test out a game before blowing $5,000, $10,000 or whatever it's going to be. It's funny, GeoHammer says he's like, versioning is a very arbitrary without a roadmap. Funny you say that because just about 5 to 10 minutes ago, Stern sent out a roadmap for their new software updates coming out. And boy, oh boy, is it maximum disappointment. Pop up that email, take a look. It says, let's see, they're adding a new thing to John Wick for, I don't know, like Teams or something. I forget what the name is. They're adding a code. Let me pull up the email here. We're fucking shooting the shit about it. We might as well. But it's a nice step in the right direction, but good Lord, it is just the absolute worst kind of like roadmap you could possibly think of.
Well, that is sort of like one point of feedback that I would have for the industry as a whole is why is there not more of a roadmap for releases, for code updates, for all kinds of things?
Transparency is a massive issue with pinball companies. It's disgusting. I get the transparency, or I'm sorry, I get the hiding the hype for new games and like what IP it's going to be. Like there's kind of a, I don't know, like pinball people love to speculate. They love to bitch and moan about which IP it's going to be. They love to play the game of like, what game's it going to be? And then when it comes out, it's like, I was right, or I wasn't right, or man, why the fuck would you make that game? Like, how dare you ruin my childhood by choosing to make Dune instead of making G.I. Joe? And it's like, bro. However, software updates should be transparent as clear as day. It should have months in the future.
See the development roadmap for sort of like what you have planned from point A to 1.2 or whatever until you think it's feature complete. Like that, right. That would be nice.
But then, I think having a projected timeline would, sure. I think having a projected timeline would also make sure that their programmers are hitting deadlines too. Like without any posted date, there's no
accountability.
Right, exactly. So Rollercoaster says it doesn't help that Tim Sexton left. That's absolutely true. I mean, that's just part of business. It's not like Stern planned on that. Sure. They did talk about how they're adding here. What's the actual? It says that the next update will be focused on implementing a new factions and perk system. So that seems pretty, that's not just like, for example, you're going to love this one. Let's compare that to D&D's upcoming update. I don't know if you've read this. It says the next update will be implementing the new character progress feature. It sounds okay until you keep reading where it says within Insider Connected, allowing you to view your character progress on your IC app. Who fucking cares? That's so unrelated to the game. That's an Insider Connected update. And for the state of that game, that's not an okay update at all, in my opinion. Oh, my Lord. All right, let's see. Opinions of older machines being remastered, says Yoda Bong Rip, which is finally not something about him talking about wanking it to my stream. So I appreciate a legitimate question coming from Yoda Bong Rip. I don't have a problem with it. I think that what they did with Metallica, the artwork's great. I think it's a huge improvement. I don't like the LCD screen. I don't like watching bands, especially not in their prime, being like live footage on there. That's just not personally for me. But I think what they did on the playfield artwork is pretty great.
Yeah, I like what they did with Metallica. I think it was an additive release rather than just being a complete remaster or like reskinning of an existing game. Like they added new code, they added new modes, new artwork. I think as long as they're sort of using it as an opportunity to build on the existing platform, I'm all for it. If it was just sort of we're gonna rehash an old design and not do anything new with it, I think I might be a little more bored by it, I guess. But the way they approached Metallica, I thought was great.
So Yoda's doing a follow-up. He's talking about classic remakes. He's talking about Theater of Magic. That's a Papa Duke game. Addams Family. I have a Attack from Mars remake.
And again, I think it's more interesting when they're going in and adding like the 2.0 code.
I think the biggest complaint people have with the remakes is that it depreciates the value of the originals. And you and I have mentioned this in the past,
I don't care.
Right. Really? So that's what I was about to say is that pinball machines aren't stocks. Like if you're buying your game to put it in a closet and hope that it builds value so that you can sell it for, no.
I'd rather more people get an opportunity to play that game and play like a working copy of that game than have it maintain a high resale value. And it's not like, I mean, I don't have like the numbers in front of me, but it's not like the remakes are like tanking the existing value of games. Like it's making maybe a little more accessible, but it's not a drastic change, I don't think.
Also, it's allowing people that may never be able to play a game like that doesn't have a lot of units still like in good condition, available to people. Like, fuck, man, Papa Duke games aren't exactly growing on trees, and finding them in arcades isn't like, especially in good condition, isn't like everywhere. Especially,
I own World Cup Soccer. I would love if they made another, like a new remastered version of World Cup Soccer. That'd be awesome.
Right? For sure. But enough of the side tangent. Let's bring it back to the Kineticist. So let me ask, what has been the most gratifying moment that has occurred since you start? Like you're thinking like, man, this never would have happened if I didn't start Kineticist, and what a cool thing. Like, I don't know, shaking Gary Stern's hand or just something that is a unique moment because you went down this path of making a pinball news publication.
Yeah, I think a lot of my interactions with the industry in general have been pretty rewarding. More so, I think on the community side, like there's just like there are a lot of people that I wouldn't have met, that I wouldn't have friendships that I have today if it wasn't for the work that we've been doing with Kineticist. But yeah, I mean, being able to go out to tour Stern's factory and go out and tour JJP's factory and Barrels of Fun, and all those people are experiences that I wouldn't have had were it not for Kineticist. So I'm pretty thankful for that. It's been extremely rewarding.
Amazing. Do you think that something I'm like worried about as the channel is growing, like that going into a hobby and creating kind of like a job around it, were you ever worried that it might damage your appreciation for pinball, or that you wouldn't want to play pinball as a hobby anymore?
Not necessarily, because I think I've known enough about myself to just know that that's sort of how I'm wired, right? Like one of my hobbies for a while was homebrewing beer, right? And
a worthy goal.
Yeah, and I went through some pretty extensive steps towards opening up a brewery, right? It's just in order for me to be the best that I can be at the work that I do, I have to be interested in what I'm doing interested in the subject matter and engaging with the topic and learning about it. And frequently that means it probably has to be a hobby of mine as well for me to go all in.
I mean, going all in is kind of the only way to do it, like you said, especially if you're going to do it full time.
Yeah, it's like I could never do this about like I don't know. I couldn't do it in like B2B SaaS, right? Because I just don't care. It's boring to me. So I couldn't like create a new site about APIs, right? It wouldn't work.
You gotta love it. You gotta love pinball. Anybody who's doing the pinball news, the pinball hobby, the pinball, I'm just going to tournaments, YouTube channels, whatever it is. It's just because we love what we're doing, man. Pinball's dope. Tommy, thank you so much for the raid. Fun with bonus, amazing. That's cool. Thank you for the follow. I hope you enjoyed that bath. Yeah, let me see what else I got in my notes here. Do you play in tournaments at all, or are you just so full time in the news?
Before I had a kid, yeah. I kind of started. Whoop.
I got you. Okay. It's amateur hour here. Episode 1. Anyways, we're good.
So I started in like league and tournament pinball. So the New England Pinball League is my big thing. I'm on the board for that. Nice. But before I started creating content around pinball, I was actually helping my friend Joe Lemire, who's big in the competitive scene, run a series of pin golf events called Pin Masters of New England that kind of fed into the larger national IFPA Pin Masters series. One of
the best tournament formats, right?
Pin golf. No, it's a lot of fun. It's very approachable. So I helped him run that for like a year or two before getting into content creation. I was all into playing in tournaments and like traveling for Pinburg and all that kind of stuff. But then had a kid and I don't have time to devote to tournaments as much as I used to. So that's kind of fallen by the wayside. But the beauty of the content creation stuff is it's just sort of given me another avenue to engage with the hobby and talk to my friends about pinball without doing the tournament thing.
This is pretty funny. Excellent time for another shout out from Tommy. Tommy, we rated a couple of days ago. Tommy is literally IFPA number 5. That's how old school competitive play he is. What's going on, man? Thanks for joining the stream. Echelon wants to know, what's your thoughts on V-Pins, V-Pin cabinets?
I think it's great. Any way that people find to engage with pinball in all of its forms, I think is awesome. It's not something that I'm interested in personally, but I know a lot of people are. I will play like Pinball FX on my PlayStation every now and again. So I'm like neutral to good on it, I guess.
Yeah, I know a handful of Pinball FX players. One of them is not good at all. In fact, I think he's the worst Pinball FX player, and he's here with us right now. It's Brass League. Hey, Brass League. What's up, man? Yeah. I feel like gatekeeping for the pinball hobby has gone down over the last like decade or so as people have become more into the hobby. What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, let's see. I've been in the hobby really in earnest since like 2017 or so. I think the gatekeeping has gone down since then. It's hard to objectively measure it, but yeah, I mean that's sort of the approach that I try to have personally. So,
and I think maybe the responsibility of people like you and other influencers to kind of be what you want to be in the tournament setting, right?
Yeah, I mean we don't do a ton of articles on it, but every now and again we'll dip our toes into the virtual pinball space because it's just another avenue to explore the hobby with.
Do you have metrics on like how your articles perform in terms of viewership?
Yeah.
What's an article that you were like, man, this one's so awesome and I can't wait to release it, and it just like didn't hit, and you were like, man, people are really missing out on this like incredibly good article that I wrote?
Like once a month. Yeah, I mean.
Oh, frequently. Geez.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you just never know, right? Like I don't know if you ever come across other creators where like sometimes it's the work that they put the least amount of effort into that gets the most traction sometimes, and where
that's me. I try to do as little as possible. Yeah.
But like, I mean, I think by now I sort of have enough of a sense for how things will perform as I'm working on it. So I guess I'm not caught off guard too much. But yeah, every now and again I'll throw out like a segment in edition of This Week in Pinball, for example, that I think will get more pickup or people talking about it that will like generate some conversation, and it doesn't. And yeah, that can be kind of disappointing.
Speaking of This Week in Pinball, I knew the anagram at some point, but I didn't know what it was. Would you like, I think you should talk about it a little bit, as there's a larger number of people here that may not know what it is and may want to be involved in it because it is, weekly in the name.
Yeah. So this Week in Pinball did not originate with me. Kineticist is mine, and I started that first. This Week in Pinball was started by this guy, Jeff Patterson. I want to say it was like 2015, 2016, and he started as a blog before anyone else was really doing that kind of thing, at least in that kind of format. And he developed this whole community around it, crazy readership. At one point, I think he did a podcast, and it eventually rolled into the TWIP Awards too. That started with him, and then a few years later, he steps back from the hobby. Sort of turns over that whole entity to this other guy that he was working with, Will Edding. And then maybe a year or two later, Will reaches out to me as I was building Kineticist because he needed help writing the sort of weekly updates for the site. Which I was like, hell yeah! I've been a reader of This Week in Pinball. I think it's great. I don't want to see it die, right? And I could use the kind of practice reps writing about pinball. So I was sort of doing that behind the scenes for a few months before he eventually approached me to buy it. So I did. So it was like, yeah, it makes sense. Pulling that audience into Kineticist, keep it going alive, sort of preserve a lot of that great content that was there. And then I sort of tweaked it though, where it was more of like a blog, like news style site before. I turned it into more of like an email newsletter. So it can be a little more complementary with the work that we were doing with Kineticist, which was more...
I was going to say that blends really well with the format that already exists on Kineticist site. I mean, I would say Kineticist kind of almost reminds me, and I mean this in the most positive way, like kind of a Gawker Media site before shit went downhill. Because it's both in its art style, its formatting, it's to me, it seems very formatted that way.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah,
before shit hit the fan.
Right. Yeah, I mean, if we could go back to that version of the internet to a certain extent, I think it would be great. More blogs and websites, less social media profiles.
Like where before everything was trying to be shaped to get whatever, like impressions and all this crap. Oh my Lord, what a nightmare. Yeah. Is there anything in particular, if somebody was watching this as a VOD or something and they were like, man, I kind of want to build a news site. What is like a pitfall that you were like, holy crap, if I could do this all over again, don't do this or do this. You can say do. I have a potty mouth.
Do. Yeah. I mean, I think it depends what your objectives are. Like the biggest thing is just get started doing it. Don't plan it. Like don't over plan it. Don't over engineer it. Just start like putting stuff out in the wild and getting in the habit of publishing. And
dive in, figure it out.
Yeah, and engage with the existing community. I think that's a big part of it too. But like pitfalls, yeah, it's all been sort of trial and error to a certain extent. I'm blanking on like major mistakes.
I mean, I think that your point about community being the most important part of it is like very true. And I think that most platforms don't survive without people that are actually, supporting the content, and you kind of drive the people that you want to be involved in it. Which I'm pleased. I think our community is pretty good. They do a good job of, interacting in, I think, the most positive sense, and in a pinball sense, I would say. I feel like pinball should be like a philosophy, not just like it's a state of mind. It isn't just like a
It
game.
is, yeah. I think if you approach it in the right way, it very much is kind of the philosophy in a state of mind, and sort of finding people that align with that state of mind more often than they don't is important.
Have you played at a tournament with a bad apple? Do you have a bad apple story?
Yeah, no, I don't have my own story, but like I've been around a few.
What's the greatest breakdown you've seen at a pinball tournament? No names, just like what's the most amazing freak out you've seen?
I honestly don't think I've seen very many like noteworthy freakouts. The most that I see is people like yelling loudly or like banging a machine, or just acting a little too aggressive for the
Do you think that
situation.
that impact on the game might have done better during play instead of after the draining?
Maybe, yeah. We have that focus at a different time. Um, yeah, I can't. I haven't seen too many.
That's good. I
Yeah.
should play in your area. No, we haven't had that many bad apples either. It's hard to say.
No, I
Everybody
mean,
has a moment of weakness. I've
for me,
definitely punched the
like
glass like once or twice, but
in our community at least, I think the bad apples, they either learn how to not be a bad apple or they get sort of weeded out.
sure. I feel like people that are running tournaments need to be responsible for kind of like not being afraid to nix those people from
Yeah.
the community. Because if you just allow that kind of toxicity to kind of promote, then it just seeds it. Do you have a grail pin?
Nail pin. Not right now. No.
No. Okay.
No. Well, because I'm intentionally trying not to entice myself with buying machines while I have a child in daycare, because daycare
It's
is expensive.
expensive, man. People that don't have kids don't get how much of a time and
No, and
money
like
drain
we don't have a
shoving.
ton of room for it, so it's sort of like I used to cruise the like the pinside listings all the time.
Sure.
I intentionally don't do that as much right
I
now.
mean, I have maybe a little bit of a suggestion for that. I don't know how open you are. That might help. If
Tell
you
me.
put your kid up for adoption, then you should have a lot of space.
Yep. Well,
And then you could have like more than one game.
Yeah.
Archimedes says there's a couple people in his area that try to sandbag you. Like, I know who you are, who you're pretending to be, and you don't know how to play this game, and you just blow it up to fuck with me mentally. Yeah, the mind game. I don't know about that. Is the mind game an okay thing to do in tournament play?
Yes, absolutely. If you
I'd have
if you
to
are the
agree
type
with
of player
you,
who
as long
can
as it's
really
not
like,
done in a harmful, derogatory,
no, because that's just the spirit of competition, right? It's like trash talking in a game or whatever. It's just fun.
Yeah. I mean, that's what the competitive landscape of playing tournament is all about, right? If you could just play at home if you didn't want that potential aspect of it.
Exactly.
Yeah, Shane likes to talk
I-
shit about people while they're playing. He's a real big poo-poo face when it comes to tournament play. But he has all the greatest games, and I'm really looking forward to finals, which is this Thursday for us. Anyways, yeah. I mean, I think that kind of covers everything I have in my notes here.
Cool.
I guess is there anything else that has just been an experience for you that just wouldn't have happened without Kineticist? I know I asked you a similar question already, but you talked
Yeah,
about
I
the
mean,
people you met. Like, what's a wholesome moment that happened for you, either at, Stern or from a person you met? I know I asked you last time when we did a kind of pre-meeting on this, if there was anybody that you wanted to shout out that was like really important for getting you into the hobby or getting, launching Kineticist or whatever. And I forget, you mentioned a Kyle, I want to say. I forget the name,
Oh,
but
yeah. One of our contributors, Noah Crable, has been really
that's close to a Kyle.
important to play. Yeah, it's like it sort of sounds the
Kyle
same.
adjacent.
He's it's been great having him involved and sort of getting to know him better throughout this process. I will say a couple of sort of inspirations for the sort of ethos or sort of vibe of the site or the project are a couple of local guys, Chuck Webster, who runs our league and is a local operator. The sort of spirit of what we're doing is very much pulled from how he runs the league, as well as a local operator here named Mitchell Curtis, who was very influential in terms of sort of getting me involved with the sort of the community side of things.
I have another question that I totally forgot. That's amazing, and I think is a very important one. You do travel a lot for all of this. Is not a joke this time. I'm not going to tell you to get rid of your kid for more pinball machines. You know you should do that already. You spend a lot of time traveling to events. Yeah. What are like 3 events that are not huge and that deserve to be in the spotlight and known about? I mean, it's got to be so hard to organize people to travel from all over the world, or even the nation, whatever, to come and visit at like, you know, Texas Pinball Festival, something like that. But these events are established. What's one that's tiny that just needs to be known?
So one of my favorite events that I've been to, which I guess the like more hardcore pinball enthusiasts probably already know about this one, but it's called the Pinball Olympics. Have you heard of this?
I haven't, no. I don't know anything.
So it's put on by Scott Denisi and his partner Jay Brand, I think is his name, in Chicago around Expo every year, and they create this sort of it's an Olympics course of like these custom modded machines, but these are like the most insane machines you've ever seen. Like they'll hook one up to a treadmill, for example, and you have to run on the treadmill to power it.
I think I saw that at California Extreme one year.
Yeah, they'll like wire 2 machines together so that when you play head to head and you hit someone else's stand up, you also like tilt their game at the same time. Like just like really these sort of like
That's awesome
custom contraptions, and it is the most amazing pinball event I've ever been to. So that's one of them. I think our local show, Pintastic, probably doesn't, like, people know about it, but it doesn't get as much love. It's sort of a tier below like a TPF or an Expo. But I've said before they kind of punch above their weight class in terms of everything that they offer, from the kind of seminar schedule to the availability with new games, sort of access to industry professionals, things like that. The third one, I guess it would be whatever we do next for the TWIPies, where
it's a self plug.
Self plug, yeah. So I don't know where or when we're gonna have this year's edition. Last year was at this place called the Wormhole in Houston. We made a whole weekend out of it. Unfortunately, the Wormhole is now closed unexpectedly, so we've got to pivot to a new venue, and we're still kind of working on that. But when it happens, it's very much a community oriented event, and kind of more of a big pinball party than anything else. But
don't listen to Archimedes. Do it in Los Angeles. That's a much better idea. He said do it in Tempe, Arizona. Electric Bat, which is an amazing suggestion. If you don't know Electric Bat, that's Serge and Kale, I believe, and a few others that also these stupid Twitch alarms. Hold on, we got an extremely angry alarm going off. That means Twitch has to do its stupid ad thing in 2 minutes. So we have 2 minutes before we got to do a 30-second ad break. Those are amazing. I do have a follow-up question on that. Yeah, plug your ears, man. Not you. You have to listen. If you are a first-time goer to a pinball event, right? I remember the first time that I went to California Extreme, it was like incredibly overwhelming. I mean, there's like hundreds of pinball machines everywhere. It's like, and there's just lists and lists of like people talking in seminars and music shows and stuff. Like, how do you even begin to, like, as a first-time goer to an event, what would you suggest is like the go? What do you do? How do you break it down so that it's like a bite-sized like experience that's not going to overwhelm you?
I would start with the games and just start playing every game you haven't seen before.
Okay. Any like, so just pick a game or a genre of games. Like if you like System 11s, go to the System 11 bank.
It depends, like if you're what type of show it is. But yeah, I mean, fine. Either if you want modern games, start with that and play all the new stuff, all the new releases, and then branch out from there. I like finding more like rare games that I can't find on location near me or that don't crop up in shows very often. And just sort of getting time on everything. But if you're more of like a if you're there to sort of learn about the hobby, then focus on the seminars instead. Like, yeah, I think the mistake is probably to try to do all of it your first time.
Plan what you want. Go in with a what do I want to get out of the pinball experience instead of just expecting to just go in and be overwhelmed by pinballness.
Yeah.
Okay.
Unless that's your thing too. You just sort of stand in the middle of the convention floor and soak it all in.
True. All right. Final question. If you had space for one more game out of these 3 games, what would you add to your collection? Raven. Raven. Raven.
Raven.
Okay.
I would add Raven.
That's a good choice.
The third one, though, not the first one.
Not the first or the second one. Yeah, that's the best one. That one's playfield is in really good condition. All right, amazing. All right, I'm going to throw it off to the chat then for one last hurrah. If there's any other questions that you'd like to ask, this is your chance. I'll read it or he can read it. He can read. And in the meantime, Colin, if there's anything that you want to plug, articles coming out from Kineticist, any news or anything that you'd like to, you want to wait 30 seconds. We got stupid ad going. All the YouTube people don't need to do that. Here, do you want to dance? If somebody does can someone do the flow dance? And we'll flow for the 30 seconds. We're ready? They're going to send it. Here it comes. You can't hear this, but it's pretty rocking. Okay, here we go. You got to do this dance. Yep. And your hands got to go around your head like that. The Illuminati lady's coming in to do the dance. Okay, we can stop dancing. We're back from ads. Yes. Any news? Anything that's going on that's coming out on Kineticist that you'd like to plug?
I would say,
take it away.
Just check out the site kineticist.com. Sign up for the email newsletter. We do weekly updates. I put a lot of time and effort into that one. You can subscribe at TWIP.kineticist.com. It's a free subscription, and yeah, hopefully you like it.
Everybody likes free, and if you like good pinball news, then you've come to the right place. Let's see, we got a handful of questions. So Forever Tilted wants to know, what's your favorite guilty pleasure pin? What's one that you like that nobody else does? You could say Raven again. No bad ideas. Never a bad idea.
Like, the first ones that come to mind are like a hard body or a future spa. mostly for the artwork. I love the artwork.
It's so good. MNN Retro Gamer, shout out, he's not here, but he just picked up a hard bodies, and I cannot wait for him to stream it.
Yeah, the guy Chuck, who I play League at his house, he's got a copy of BMX, which is essentially the same game themed like BMX. So I get to play that one a lot, which is nice.
Very cool. Very cool. Rollercoaster says, I didn't know you had a Gary in your house. Speaking of Gary, do you have a favorite Gary Easter egg? If people don't know, there's Gary Easter eggs like all over pinball. Like they're hidden everywhere.
Yeah. I enjoyed the last one that he had with Jaws, him in the pool float.
I don't know this one. Where's
it's in King Kong too. It's the same one, I believe.
Okay.
So in King Kong, it's in the river thing. I forget what they call it.
The little wiggly one on the left.
Yeah. So he's in there, and then it's there in Jaws somewhere.
Cool. Amazing.
Yeah.
I think that's it for questions. All right.
Sweet.
Fantastic. Thank you for launching our podcast off in style.
Thanks for having me. This has been fun.
Agreed. Same. Thank you, everybody who took the time to make me dance and hop on here and ask questions. I have to plug our own stuff. On Thursday, which is 2 days from now, we have Bo and Karen's coming on from... Awesome. Get out of here, Pyramid. Not the time. Thank you. You're not even aligned right, Pyramid. I saw that. Bo and Karen's from Barrels of Fun is going to be on here. We're going to talk about rules. So if pinball design and rule set knowledge is of interest to you and you like this format, it's going to be like this. Don't worry, Fun with Bonus. It's going on video on demand as soon as I go check to make sure the audio sounds good. and it'll be up there. And then the Tuesday after that, we have Johnny Crap coming on. Johnny Crap is the artist of Dune, but also a Stern artist. You may know his work from the home edition of Jurassic Park, as well as every other version of Jurassic Park that Stern did. So yeah, he also did a pretty cool clock that's like an EM clock. That's neat. Like a small, like a paired up with an artist to do this weird physical clock that has reels in it and stuff. Pretty neat. All right, last, I lied. Yoda Bongrip is really bringing it today by not being ultra creepy. He says death saves, yes or no?
Yes.
There you go. You heard it.
Not that
All right,
I
everybody.
can do one.
Yeah, if you can do it. Thanks again. All praise the Great Pyramid. We're obviously going to go raid somebody because that's what we do, and drop pinball lovers on somebody who doesn't have a lot of viewers because it makes their day, and making somebody's day is basically the best thing other than playing pinball. So yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Stick around. Bye,
Thanks,
Colin.
everyone. Bye.